Good morning, Ammar.
Got it. Okay, so here we go. Gosh, that was it feels a bit peculiar, doesn't it?
I thought it was nice to let our clones do our jobs.
Yeah, I agree.
You could be kind of forgiven to say that was kind of the AI doing its thing. Then AI come and take over, and we can all put our feet up and make clone versions of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, good morning, Jalf.
Good morning, Ammar. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Yeah. Let's start showing the listeners. You're listening to Ammar and
Jalf,
live on our weekly radio show on Spice FM.
and each week we bring some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
And we'll be talking shop quite literally, not just corner shops. Whether you're looking to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can't help. So yeah, Jalf, what's been happening?
Gosh, busy week, Ammar. I think graduation, lots of people going out celebrating in the city, lots of influx of friends and families from around the UK and internationally into the city, which is great for us. Great to showcase Newcastle upon Tyne internationally. So it is a busy time. I think it's a really nice time as well, in that it's bringing just, when you have different groups of different types of people, but obviously you've got, you can notice the different groups from international groups, others from out of town, everyone looking dapper, dressed up, and just enjoying their special occasion.
Yeah. You can, and it's nice to see. It's really nice to see. Oh gosh, could you remember your graduation?
Yeah, yes, I do. Yeah. I mean, I remember going, and I remember friends saying that, yeah, look, we're gonna look the best that we can and dress the best that you can, and and it was a lovely day out in the in a big beautiful building with lots of greenery, lots of.
Where was it?
Yeah, good. It's good.
Where was it?
In Leicester.
Right.
I went to university in Leicester.
Leicester, like, Jalf, to sort of go to university.
When we got to Leicester, Ammar, it was such a cultural shock because I had never seen so many Asian people in my life.
Yeah.
It was like it's little India.
Going from here to somewhere like Leicester is just like being in a different country.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's apparently it's like 50-50, 50% Asians and 50% of the indigenous English population. So it's an interesting city. I mean, the thing is, the most poignant thing of leaving Newcastle for the first time, going to Leicester, you think that, oh my God, I'm going to go to another city. It's going to be amazing. I thought, hold on, Newcastle's better than this.
Yeah.
And you kind of end up saying that in many cities apart from London. Yes, Manchester is a bigger city, but I think Newcastle is just a cuter, nicer city. Birmingham's the same. Big, huge city, lots of derelict buildings, lots of homeless people on the streets and things of that ilk. So that was kind of interesting because we maybe we shouldn't take for granted how beautiful and cool Newcastle is.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And you know what I love about Newcastle is its compactness.
Yeah.
It's one of the few cities where you can get from one end to the other quite easily?
That was a
Yes,
beautiful thing about
in a helicopter, but
inherently they created a fantastic infrastructure, and the way that they built it was amazing. Only for
yeah,
I don't understand the beauty of that infrastructure to try and destroy that today and make life as difficult as possible. For what you've just said, from going to A to B is a breeze, and it should be, because we've got the bridges, we've got the communications, the roads are there, the system is there. But for whatever reason, everyone I speak to, they're just making life so difficult for people to get from A to B, and it's just so sad.
yeah. It is sad, very sad. But I don't know what. I mean, regardless of that, you can walk from one end to the other. I'd say in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're covering so many iconic sites in that process.
Yeah.
Whether it be starting on Grey Street and Earl Grey, you know, the person responsible for Earl Grey tea around the world. And they're so, you know, amazing that the color of the stone used on his bricks on his street, Grey Street, is the same color as Earl Grey tea itself. Whether you walk down it and see the wonderful bridges, the river, and so many other iconic parts of the city, and so much more development to come, Ammar, with new conference centers on their way and new hotels on the way. There's so many great things happening.
Yeah, there is. No, I think
That's not even.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's there's no question about the history, the heritage, the opportunity. There are so many significant landmarks and historic events that have occurred here, and arguably we've got the best football team. There's I mean, even the stadium, right? It doesn't matter where you go, you see the stadium. It doesn't matter where you go, you see our cathedral. It doesn't matter where you go, you can see various significant landmarks, and the city is in fact the city. So it's surrounded sort of 270 degrees by the rest of Newcastle. So you've got the city all the way down to the Tyne, and then as in the city centre, but then the rest of the city, all of the suburbs are wrapped around the city, with the city being right in the middle of it. I'm just thinking about other places. If I look at Liverpool, which is 10 times the size of Newcastle, it's really disparate.
What is it? Is it that? Is it a lot bigger than Newcastle or Liverpool?
Yeah, I think geographically speaking, it's huge.
But also, just to add to the mix, so we don't forget, we have two fantastic universities, literally in the city centre as.
Yeah, there's no question about that. To be honest, it's yeah.
But in terms of our centre, I mean, I think you're going to be hard pushed in the UK to find a city centre which is such a nucleus to the city. I don't think there's anywhere else in the country that would have universities, football stadiums. Obviously, you have the shopping centres, and then you go to the river and the bridges. I just can't see any other city in the country that has that. Obviously, London is just amazing. It's got everything and beyond, but beyond, apart from London.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's there's no question around that. Um, so yeah, what? So tell me about the week. Obviously, graduations. What does that mean?
Just means that you have students from international students and non-international students, obviously celebrating and wanting to go somewhere to celebrate. And it's a very big occasion. So I'm assuming all the big restaurants are going to be full from a number of months ago on the graduation dates. And when we are briefing our staff members, we are very carefully and clearly telling them that, look, this is you are there to create this enhanced memory that they're going to hold forever, because most likely everyone will remember the day that they graduated and where they actually went to. So it's a really special occasion for all of those individuals concerned and their families, Ammar, because ultimately it's a bit like from the age of 5 to the age of 18, or if some are, or sorry, 21. That's kind of in some ways you get the accreditation certificate for what, 18 years of your life in studying effectively, and you have graduated. So it's a huge occasion. And then obviously many go on to a new path and stage in their career. So it's a big moment for everyone concerned.
Yeah. I think it's amazing. I mean, it's scary as well, isn't it? Because you've been in this bubble.
Yeah, you have, and I think the dreamers would probably feel, and maybe as we felt the same, that okay, I'm graduating now, I'm going to just step into my dream job.
Yeah.
But that's the case, isn't it? That's not the reality of the world, and you have to strive hard to so competitive. And if you imagine, Ammar, how many people on a particular course and how many people graduate from that particular course? Is there the same levels of jobs out there? Because it just can't be, especially when the economic growth limited. And if the economy is in a downturn, then it means that the companies are not growing. They don't need more members. So when you take all of those things into consideration, you've graduated, but is there a really need for X amount of people with that skill set in an economy which is stagnant? So sometimes, all of those things have an impact on the future of these budding new graduates.
But undoubtedly, and some of this is around what are the subsequent offer around this. As in, one of the things that I'm really keen to do. So one of the organisations I'm involved in, I chair the Progression Forum in Newcastle, and historically we've always sort of, and the LEP that I'm involved in, where I chair the Business Growth Board. But one of the big concerns is around student retention. It's such a shame that people come here, study, they love the place and everything else, but then they go off again, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, that is such a shame, because you want to hold a lot more people in the city. But I think slightly different for international students, certainly, because they have given that post-study work, they've given a 2-year limit on that. But previously, Ammar, they didn't have that for a while. They took that away. So if you've graduated and you're an international student, you weren't able to actually stay here and find a job, because you only had 3 weeks to try and find a job. But now they've given 2 years where you can do post-study work. So you've got the ability to work and find a job and stay in the city if you find the right opportunity. So at least that's given them a bit of a bridge, certainly for international students. But for national students, it's a matter of, has Newcastle got enough job opportunities?
Positive.
But talking about that in terms of the next step for graduates, obviously the event on Wednesday, that's kind of a great stepping stone, a great platform to give the students that we've discussed, even in an economy which is stagnant, at least those that have got that mindset to kind of push and make more of a mark themselves. The platform that you've created is going to give huge opportunities and very, very informative on them to be able to make those correct decisions on that correct path for their futures.
And it's that. So just let's briefly talk about that event. Jalf, it was fantastic. So we hosted an Innovation Ignition event on Wednesday. It was an Enterprise Ignition event on Wednesday, where we brought together lots of individuals, but then ultimately we had lots of great speakers. Our headline speaker was none other than the wonderful Mr. Jalf Ali. And yeah, it was, the feedback was first class, the follow-up. You always know how good an event is after the conversations that follow on from it. And it was amazing to hear and see, people sort of saying, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing!" Oh, and the interaction. So the questions that people were asking demonstrated that, didn't it?
Mm. Yeah, it was good, and it's kind of, hopefully there might be, even if it was to inspire one person in the room to give them a bit of clarity on their decision making to better their futures, then it's always worth it. And ultimately, genuinely, Ammar, we talked about this part of the framework of ABC is just having this network, the network of being around like-minded people that have got something that you don't have, the ability to sponge that information, to give you direction, implement it within your skill set and any type of business or personal models that you have. It's so crucial. You can't buy that, because that knowledge in those environments, Ammar, you seem to be quite happy to give away information otherwise, which you would actually, people would pay you for on a consultancy basis. And you probably have done so much of that over the years.
Oh,
and maybe
and that's it. It's about that balance, isn't it?
Mhm.
So it's that feedback and sharing that story, Jalf. It just helps illustrate some of those barriers and challenges that people don't necessarily get to hear in real life. And I suppose just for the benefit, because I think it was really, really valuable. I just think it'd be really nice to hear a bit of that again, Jalf, for our listeners, because we don't normally talk about where we've come from. Our radio show is really topical. It's very much around, this is what's going on now, as opposed to this is why and how we are here. So I respect that. It's also a case of what is it that you want to share and why and how. So, Jalf, just on that note, having asked you that question previously, based on, so just tell us a little bit more about Kai Kai, Jalf, because I don't think people recognize or appreciate that it took sort of 20, 30 years to get to you developing Kai Kai, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, Kai was not something that, I had a you see, let's go back to the time when I finished university and decided to kind of enter the hospitality sector because of family history and being built within the industry from a very young age. I guess, Ammar, if you think about it, a little, 20-year-old, 21-year-old man finishing university and you're entering hospitality. I guess if I had a dream of where I would want to be, have restaurants which were kind of nationally recognized and being, we're hosting and wine and some of the world's most famous people and recognized chefs and celebrities are dining in your establishment and really enjoying that experience. That's probably a dream. And
so where would you, sorry, up until this point, Jalf, just very, very briefly, you've ate in some amazing places and spaces. Up until you'd created Kai Kai in particular, what and where would you say, you know what, I went to that place and oh my gosh, it was the best place I'd been? Can you name one?
Yeah, the best restaurant experience that I probably ever had was in a restaurant called Stay, S-T-A-Y, and it's in Dubai, and it's a 3 Michelin star restaurant, and it was just an incredible experience. Everything
and describe that. So explain that
well,
as a fire.
first of all, it's when you have steaks, because I would only have halal meats.
Yeah.
It's limited. Let's say 15 years ago, it's limited where you could have a beautiful steak, but in Dubai, you don't have that issue. So the steak was just the way that it was cooked to perfection. Everything was done like in-house. So Michelin star restaurants, every single sauce, every single dip, everything has to be created from scratch in-house. So I mean, they bring you a starters, they give you a mouche bouche, which is a pre-starter given by the chefs. You taste the flavors and everything is just unique and you can feel the depth of flavor. Then you go through the process and the different stages, moving on to the main, where it's just a fillet steak that is just a plain steak, simple, nothing else on the plate other than that. But then as you put your knife into it, it just melts in your mouth. And the sauce that comes with it, the service, the environment, it wasn't just we've learned, Ammar, in over the years. My father used to say restaurants is food service.
Yeah.
The best good service. But then I always say it's evolved from that to it was a matter of food service and then it was the experience. Now we say that we've actually want to take it to the next level, food service, experience, and memory. Because if you have establishments where it's not just about feeding people's hunger, like say, I don't know, you want to go to your local chip shop and get chip chops for your tea. You're going there to fulfill your hunger. You're not really going there to have an experience. So I guess when you move the restaurants on and it becomes bigger than just a meal to feed your tummy. It's more than that. So I guess Stay was quite poignant, but then when you have the desserts, they make a dessert, you put it in, and there's an explosion in your mouth. After you finish your desserts, they make you go to a stand where they've made homemade chocolates. And I said, that you're not finished yet, by the way. You need to come with me. Come to this stand, and you have to have this, and you have to have this. And you're so full, but it's such a nice full because you've just enjoyed every little item. But I guess more than that, a more poignant story is probably when I went to a restaurant, an Indian restaurant, which is in a Grosvenor House. It's called Indigo, and it's by a Michelin star Indian chef called Vineet Bhatia. And I went there and had a fantastic meal. But then when I left, because you go to these posh restaurants, you go and anything, there was a little something missing, and it was expensive. And what was missing was value for money, because the next day I went to Dira and I had a small dish on the street called a masala batata vada.
Right.
And I put it in my mouth and it was just so tasty with the chutneys and it was just amazing. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I enjoyed that more than this Michelin star restaurant yesterday because it was tasty, it was simple, It was real. It was honest. It wasn't too fancy. Flavors were authentic, and the value for money I felt, for me, that was really important. It doesn't matter whether you spend 100 quid per person on a meal or £1 for that dish. You can still get value for money at £100 per person. It just depends what your experience is. But the value for money was critical, and from the next day, I began to think about the street food concept, and this is going back to 2006-7. So it took me about 2 years to create that concept of a street food restaurant in 2008. Fast forward to, all around about 2018-19, where I became so sick of everyone just replicating Dabawal and a street food concept that maybe it's the ego in me or the creative element in me said, hold on, I'm just sick and tired of everyone. Is there nothing else beyond street food? So the point is, when you have a mind which is how I'm built, is I'm always like to be insecure about any achievements, because I'm thinking that, yes, thank you very much, and I want to be humble about anything that you achieve, but then you need to feel that, I need to do more next, not to make more money, but just to develop more and innovate more.
Yeah, it's about pushing yourself. Of course it is.
I think that has to be ingrained, Ammar. So once that, if you have that, it means that whatever you've achieved, you feel like, oh, it's not good enough, because I can get better and I can get better. And so we put our heads together, and obviously, so Kai Kai came from a lot of different reasons, ultimately showing many individuals that, oh, there is life beyond street food, and hold on, let me just show you what the next thing is. And we create this amazing, unique concept, but that journey to show individuals or show the market or the industry that, look, there is life beyond street food. We put our heads together, and we brought some amazing individuals around us. And Chef Alfred Prasad is one of the 4 or 5 Michelin star Indian chefs in the entire world. To get someone like him, out of 7 billion people, we're getting someone like him to work with us. And not even that, Ammar, enjoying working with us, because we have some kind of, he felt that we had substance, and we were a good operator, and he felt that he could put his name to work with us, which was a very proud and humbling moment for us, that, we were able to get from where we were 20 years ago to where we are, where we're effectively working with some of the best in the industry. And we've got a lovely ongoing relationship, because they feel that we are not an 11 playing field, but we are good enough to work with them. So I think that's really, really nice, really, really good. And I think moving forward, Ammar, we're always looking to improve and move forward, and we meet lovely chefs, and people want to come and work with us, and we've got some really nice plans on how to move things on, even from where we are, like really exciting plans. I mean, there's a chef that came the other day. Oh my goodness, he made some food. It was just the most incredible food that he made.
Really?
It just blew it away. He made this thing he made this chicken. He brought it to the table, and I said, right, so this is a black gold chicken. So the chicken was black, and he had some gold leaf on it, and it was the marination was with calamari ink. So have you ever seen within prawns, a little bit of that black bit?
Yeah.
That you usually take away. So they keep that, right? And they make it into a paste and make ink out of it. And it's like, and then they use that to marinate this piece of chicken. And when you cut into it, it's so soft and juicy and tender, and the flavors is just something unique beyond I've ever tasted before. So we always developed to a position where we're like trying to push boundaries and keep on pushing and pushing.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we're doing some exciting things, and I think we're happy with the platform that we have within the businesses, and how it's being used, but how it's making an impact in the city. And that's kind of quite, me being in Newcastle, from Newcastle, and love Newcastle, to bring that here is something I'm really proud of. And there are lots of other people that come in and say, oh, well, can you open one of these in Manchester and Edinburgh and London? I said, well, not really. I mean, there was a lady from The Guardian, Grace Dent, she was, I demand that we have one of these in every city. But you can't have one of these in every city because I'm just here in Newcastle, and I don't have the energy to be able to open something like this in every single city because it's just not possible.
Well, you say that, but actually, Jack, I think you would be one of the ideal candidates for private equity, right? Especially to take like your brand and your service globally as well as like locally. And the benefit, and actually, it's interesting because I take private equity, and private equity are ultimately investors who are only interested in companies that are growing, that have proven their value proposition, that are making a difference, and they come in and not only offer all of the cash, right? They also offer world-class support. So they'll bring, sorry, go on.
Get us in touch with your Saudi contacts, and then let's go
seriously,
let's go to Arabia.
No, seriously, it's interesting because it's really interesting that there's the fact that PE houses can transform can really transform an organization and provide all of the support you need.
Yeah, I mean, the private equity world is something that obviously it's huge, and there's so many big businesses that are part of that world, but we've kind of never explored that world in many ways, just to try to keep it nice and small and keep on top of the standards on a day-to-day basis. I guess maybe that's why, because we have that, we're able to do that. We're able to deliver quite a consistent product in something which is quite intricate. It's not, like the likes of some of the chains where they have to really simplify their product offering to be able to then, replicate. The more intricate your product, the harder it is to replicate. But then the good thing about that is it's harder for others to come and copy. So it's about getting the balance right in that dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, of course it is. But I do believe that there's real opportunity, there's real support, and the other thing that it allows you to do, Jeff, is equally ensure your future. So it gives you a value as of today. You are able to take out an element of that value. It's still primarily your business. You've just got an additional support mechanism, but they will also then cash flow the growth as well. So unlike you having to cash flow that, whilst your business can sustain that, and it's great, it's equally a big deal to be able to go, you know what, we're going to take Kai to Saudi, we're taking it to Dubai, we're taking it to London, we're going to open up all four together. And that's probably the type of thing that you could really do with, and then all of a sudden, ideally having sort of 10 global Kais, gives you an adequate and an appropriate offer, but also delivers a consistent service. As long as you can sort of develop the processes that you consistently follow. If it's singly you, being the single critical success factor as well as the single critical failure factor, well, then it's not a scalable business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. And I think what we have done is empowered the team, because it can't be about one person when you get to a certain level. You still got to be the driving force and set the tone for the team. But I think it has to be a collective effort. But empowering individuals who are good at their roles, at their positions, and let them do their thing and add value to the overall product or the overall brand. And I think I've learned that over time, Ammar, and I think that's like very important for those that are scaling up. Let the people that are better than you do their jobs, and just
one of the top bits of advice is employ people who are better than you to do the things that they're better at you at doing, and in particular the things that you don't really add much value to.
Yep. And some of the things that you hate doing as well.
Well, both of that. There's a whole host of stuff. I mean, it's great. This week, eventually got round to appointing an executive assistant. So I've had lots of people helping me and do various things, but this is just someone who takes care of all of my back office admin, diary, meetings, everything now. So it's a bit of a culture shock for me, but I'm looking forward to it. All of a sudden, someone says, "Oh, can I have a meeting with you?" You don't feel like, "Oh my gosh, I better get that meeting in straight away." It's more a case of, where does it fit? Where does it sit? And someone can have both those positive and those harder conversations on your behalf. Plus, it gives you a bit of a buffer, so you're not jumping from one thing to another thing to another. Well, certainly that's where I'm concerned. So yeah, Helen's amazing. I'm looking forward to her sort of making an ongoing, sustained contribution to our organisation. So excellent. I think that will be exciting, is what it will be. So yeah, and then what else is going on in the news? Well, let's just have a look at that. Have you been following any of
the international stuff?
No, the BBC, the person.
Yeah,
who,
are we allowed to name that presenter yet?
Yeah, it's out, isn't it? It's Hugh Edwards.
I mean, look, there's all of this. I don't know. I'm very kind of frustrated in so many things that's happening in the world, and the way, the direction that it's going. I just feel that it's all very, very confusing, Ammar, to be honest. I think if we're living in a society where we can't define a man and a woman, to be honest, it's something strange is happening as far as I'm concerned. And when you speak to people, underlying, everyone's of the same kind of mindset that, they don't want to allow children from the age of 5, 6 to even be exposed to things like this. The whole idea of adulthood being 18, and all those things seems to be changing so fast in society. I'm just not sure what is going on. So broadly, there is that's hanging over, I think, everybody in the country and in the Western world, that is worrying from as far as I'm concerned, because we just want a society that is as it's always been in this country. It's been a very, very stable, amazing nation where, you have diverse communities, diverse people, but under a moral code, which is be nice to one another, help one another. And I think things are changing, and that's a bigger picture from what affects me, what I think I worry about. But on a day-to-day basis, there are other worrying things that are not maybe is on everyone's radar, and that's still this war that's happening in Russia and Ukraine and NATO, because that's still a huge war, and things could escalate, and if it escalates, it can involve everybody, and it is involving us in many ways in terms of all the costs going up because of grains and fertilizers and energies and farming and agriculture. I mean, one of the chefs Ammar just told me yesterday that onion bags at the moment, they used to be, I don't know if you ever used to walk past Hutchinson's and you could get a bag of onions for £5 or £7. They were like 10 quid maybe 6 months ago. They're £27 a bag just for one bag of onions. So all of the instability around the world of energy and costs, I just can't see this ending well for the rest of us, because, and we've talked about the cost of living crisis all the time, mortgages and rentals going up and interest rates going up, and it's having a significant effect on a lot of people. So I think the more the reason that we stay resilient, and the more the reason that we're more focused on our businesses and try and generate, incomes and profits and revenues just ourselves for the future moving forward. So I think, it's more reason for us to remain as more focused as possible.
I agree. Yeah, it's no, it's interesting times. For everyone, is what it is, and your point around world factors like the likes of wars. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you've got like wars, we've got cost of living. Like one day that's like the topical headline, next day it's not. I just find it's really peculiar, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's among the other things someone mentioned the other day, right? And we've talked about this. Have you noticed how quickly and how fast things change? Imagine imagine the conversations that we would be having in 2 years' time about interest rates. So if we try and fast forward about 2 years' time, right? We could try and do a role play. So we're doing our show, we're doing the introduction, and it's 2025. And we'll be like, oh my God, Ammar, so the interest rate's at 18%. And, my 3-bedroom house, it's like £2,500 a month to rent. And, the bag of onions is £57 a bag. Is that far-fetched?
I imagine it'll be, the conversation will be, it's funny, isn't it, how everybody now lives in a wigwam, right? Because society's gone backwards as opposed to forwards. Because we realize, all those people who used to live sort of in a transient way, houses, what's the point? Onions, don't know what one of them is. It's the thing. And actually, if you potentially you roll forward 2 years, we're fighting the AI. So whilst anyway, I've got a quick business topic of the week is what I've got. So 10 essential tips for launching a successful startup. This event that we did on Wednesday, Jeff, it was all about business startups. So let me just quickly rattle through these because we're coming through up to the end of our show. And starting a business can be an exhilarating journey filled with opportunities and challenges. To increase your chances of launching a successful startup, it's essential to have a well-thought-out plan and execute it effectively. We'll explore 10 crucial tips that can guide you through the initial stages of starting a business and set you up for success. So define your vision, clearly articulate your business's purpose, mission, and long-term goals. Having a clear vision will serve as your guiding light and help you make strategic decisions. Conduct market research. Thoroughly analyze your target market, competitors, and industry trends. Understanding the market landscape will enable you to identify opportunities, tailor your offerings, and position your business effectively. Develop a solid business plan. Create a comprehensive business plan that outlines your value proposition, target market, marketing strategies, financial projections, and operational plans. A well-crafted business plan will provide a roadmap for your startup's growth. Build a talented and diverse team. Surround yourself with skilled individuals who share your passion and complement your strengths. Hire employees or collaborate with partners who believe in your vision and can contribute to the success of your startup. Secure adequate funding. Explore various funding options such as bootstrapping, loans, grants, angel investors, or venture capital. Develop a solid financial plan and seek funding sources that align with your business goals. 6. Embrace innovation. Stay up to date with emerging technologies and industry trends. Continuously seek innovative solutions and adopt your business model to remain competitive in a dynamic market. 7. Develop a strong brand. Create a compelling brand identity that resonates with your target audience. Invest in professional branding, including your logo, website, marketing materials, and social media presence to establish credibility and attract customers. Focus on customer experience. Prioritize customer satisfaction by delivering exceptional products or services and providing excellent customer support. Build relationships with your customers and actively seek feedback to improve your offerings. 9. Establish strategic partnerships. Collaborate with complementary businesses or influential individuals in your industry. Strategic partnerships can help you expand your reach, access new markets, and leverage shared resources. 10. Stay agile and adapt. Be prepared to iterate and pivot as needed. Monitor market changes, customer feedback, and industry trends, and be willing to make necessary adjustments to your business strategy. By following these 10 essential tips, you'll be better equipped to navigate the challenges of starting a business and increase your chances of launching a successful startup. Remember, entrepreneurship requires perseverance, resilience, and continuous learning. Embrace the journey and stay committed to your vision.
Amazing.
Yeah. I think agility, these are the things we talked about. This was your story. You know, it was like, oh, yeah, this worked, that didn't. Let's fix this. Let's change this. Don't be afraid. You know, have a look at what's going on. Don't live in a bubble and be focused there. Talk to your customers. Understand is some of those critical top tips. We've got some, and talking about this enterprise ignition, we've got some workshops going on. We've got innovation ignition. I mean, I'm on a mission, Jalf, to help individuals and organizations understand and implement the power of innovation. People don't understand it. People don't understand how to do it. People don't understand what it is. You know, everybody has a different view. So, well, it's the most powerful thing in the world ever. It really is. You know, it's what the wheel came from. It's what technology came from. It's what every single revolution has come from. You know, blessed by the grace of God, obviously, but innovation is our ability that God gives us to develop ourselves and the world that we live in.
Absolutely.
So praise the Lord, adopt innovation, and lead a more fulfilling and successful life.
Yeah, and that is, you know, well, how do you define that? I think first thing is health and peace within yourself. Those are the, you know, so important in terms of what success is all about.
Of course it is. Of course it is. ABC awards, Jalf. You must have some people in your workplace who deserve an award, man. Come on, what's the matter with you?
With the rewarded every single day.
I'm sure Alfred deserves an award.
Yeah, but Alfred is so busy. I mean, how would you even? He deserves more than awards. I mean, he is he's got the highest accolade that he can get as a chef. But I'm sure there's so many things that he.
On the 19th of October, you know, if someone nominated him and someone considered him, and the judges evaluated him in comparison to his fellow nominees, well, I'm sure you could get him up on the 19th of October.
I could ask the question, but Ammar, if you think about, even by him not being in Newcastle on a day-to-day basis, how he's had an impact on the food scene in the city is amazing, isn't it? Like, he's in London, and the way that everyone that comes to Newcastle and experiences this food is because of him. That's kind of like, it just shows the reach.
I mean,
impact.
I'm using him as an example, right? But everybody listening to us must know somebody that they would love to or should actually recognize. And the one thing that you can do, the easiest thing that you can do, is actually just log on and go, you know what, my doctor, my taxi driver, my solicitor, my accountant, my takeaway, my restaurant owner, that person who served me there, the person in the doctor's surgery, that kind person in the corner shop, whoever it is, you must know an Asian out there that actually deserves to be recognized, and they would never think of that. So why can't you just do a simple thing like making a submission and genuinely support the sustained and significant contribution of the Asian community? What's the big deal? Everyone's dead quick to complain.
No, absolutely not. You're completely right. And people go and make
Asians are this, Asians are that. Everybody's dead quick to criticize. Let's pull your finger out, get complimenting, support one another, love one another, make a submission.
Absolutely.
Particularly interested in the more diverse female as well, Asian women. We'd love to see more submissions. We've got lots. I mean, lots of people have submitted. I think it's wonderful. I don't get involved in any of it purposefully, but I'm looking forward to it because it's a great award ceremony, and it's always a great appreciation of everybody who's made such a big difference. Anyway, we've come to the end of our show. Jalf, have a wonderful weekend. Looking forward to Masala Festival. Get along to Masala Festival.